Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 3 of our journey through the book of Proverbs. Over the last 2 weeks, we explored the broader wisdom tradition and the literary structure of Proverbs. Today, we turn to the heart and soul of the book and its theology. Proverbs is often approached as a collection of practical life tips. And it is practic, but underneath that surface lies a profound theological framework that connects wisdom to God's character, to Israel's covenant, and to the very structure of creation itself. Let's dive into 4 key theological dimensions. The fear of the Lord. The relationship between wisdom, Torah, and covenant. Creation theology and the order of life. Proverbs as a tool for spiritual formation. We must begin with the phrase that echoes through Proverbs like a drumbeat. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Proverbs 1 verse 7. This is not merely a pious slogan, it's the theological center of the entire book. So, what does fear of the Lord mean? It's not terror or dread in the sense of being afraid of a tyrant. Instead, it's reverence before God's majesty, awe at His holiness, submission to His authority. In Hebrew, the word yirah includes both respect and a healthy sense of trembling before one infinitely greater than ourselves. Proverbs insists that true wisdom starts with a right relationship with God. You cannot separate moral living from a spiritual foundation. Wisdom is not merely human cleverness, it's knowing how to live rightly under God's rule. Relationship between wisdom, Torah, and covenant theology. Proverbs, like all biblical wisdom, exists in the context of Israel's covenant with the Lord. Although Proverbs rarely uses the language of Sinai, sacrifice, or temple rituals, it breathes the air of covenant ethics. Honesty, justice, compassion, humility. These values flow from the Torah's vision of a righteous community. Consider Proverbs 3 verses 1 to 2. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life, and peace they will add to you. The Hebrew word here for teaching is Torah. It reminds us that wisdom is not isolated from Israel's law but is deeply connected to it. In the Torah, obedience brings blessing and shalom. In Proverbs, wise living is likewise the path to flourishing. Wisdom and covenant obedience are 2 sides of the same coin. Another essential theme in Proverbs is creation theology. Wisdom is not merely social advice, it's woven into the fabric of the universe. Proverbs 3 verse 19 declares, "The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding He established the heavens." And in Proverbs 8, Lady Wisdom herself proclaims that she was beside the Lord during creation, delighting in the world He made. This theology teaches that the world is not chaotic. There's a moral and rational order built into creation. Living wisely means aligning oneself with this divine order. Consider how Proverbs speaks of cause and effect. Diligence tends toward prosperity. Laziness tends toward poverty. Honesty tends toward peace. Dishonesty leads to destruction. These are not ironclad guarantees but general patterns reflecting how God has structured the world. Understanding this helps us avoid a purely legalistic reading of Proverbs. It's not a book of rigid formulas, it's a guide to living in harmony with how God designed life to work. Finally, Proverbs serves as a powerful tool for spiritual formation. It doesn't simply inform our minds, it shapes our hearts, character, and daily choices. Consider how it trains us in speech that brings life rather than harm, integrity in business and community life, patience and humility, care for the poor and vulnerable, self-control in the face of anger or temptation. In other words, Proverbs forms wise disciples who reflect God's character. The ultimate goal is not merely moral behavior but a life oriented toward God Himself. Bruce Waltke puts it beautifully when he writes, "To know wisdom is not to master a body of knowledge but to be mastered by the fear of the Lord." This is why the book opens with a purpose statement. To know wisdom and instruction. To understand words of insight. To receive instruction in wise dealing. in righteousness, justice, and equity. Proverbs 1 verses 2-3. Proverbs seeks to produce a certain kind of person, which is one who lives skillfully and righteously in every sphere of life. So in summary, the theology of Proverbs rests on 4 great pillars. The fear of the Lord as the foundation of all true knowledge. Wisdom's connection to Torah and covenant faithfulness. The belief that wisdom reflects God's created order. Proverbs as a tool for spiritual formation, shaping hearts and lives. I encourage you this week to read either Kidner or Walke on Proverbs. Both are excellent at tracing these theological themes and showing how they transform Proverbs from a book of moral sayings into a profound spiritual guide. Next week, we'll explore one of Proverbs' most fascinating features, the personification of wisdom as Lady Wisdom. We'll see how this connects wisdom to creation, Christology, and pastoral ministry. Thank you for your attention, and may the Lord grant us wisdom as we continue our study together.